Hey YouTube, AdoptedMike here, and today I'm going to be testing out this AMD A10 5800 processor. This is the new FM2, oh, focus there. This is the new FM2 socket, and I'm going to be testing it in this ASRock motherboard. This is the Extreme 4M, or excuse me, the FM2A85X Extreme 4M. I did an unboxing in another video of this one. So anyway, I'm gonna get started here with the little build, and then we'll do some testing on it. Okay, so what I've got going on here so far, I've put the processor in the board here. Got some Corsair Vengeance RAM here with that nice, cool black heatsink, although I wish the PCB were black, but it's kind of hard to tell when it's mounted in the case. And I've taken a cooler from an FX series processor, I think like an 8150 or something, and I've actually just mounted it to the FM2 socket. One thing I love about AMD is it's able to work that way, and this way I get a little bit better cooling than the factory FM2 cooler, and I have this laying around from a build with the FX series processor, so it works out fine. I just did the poor man's sleeving on here. Didn't tie it up on the ends, but I don't think you'll be able to notice it in the case. So that's what we're going with. So we got two 4s for 8 gigs, and now let's we'll get it in the case. Okay, so the case I've chosen for this particular build is the Rosewill Line M. This is a micro ATX case here, and I chose it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, kind of the underlying theme of this is a budget build, so this case was relatively inexpensive and still had a lot of the features I was looking for. I thought, you know, the styling was there. I've got some front-mounted USB 3 ports here, and as well as a couple of USB 2 ports. You know, didn't really care for this, but most cases have it. I've got this decent looking kind of grill there, mesh grill. I've got, you know, if I wanted to do, I can put 2 optical drives in here if I wanted to, as well as like a card reader there. And then if I flip it around to the back side, a couple of the things I don't like about it is a top-mounted power supply, but that's not, you know, horrible. But we've got a nice 120 rear fan and some, you know, with the honeycomb, a little bit of ventilation down here at the bottom. This side is plain Jane, and then on this side, if I wanted to, I could mount a couple of 120 mil fans in there if I wanted to. And then if we pop that off, it's, you know, thin metal and it wobbles a little bit, but I mean, like I said, we're going for kind of a budget build here, so it's not horrible. We've got an all black interior, and then there's absolutely no cable management behind the motherboard tray whatsoever. I can't, I mean, possibly something like these could fit back there, but sure as hell there's no power supply cables going back there. You might get some SATA cables or something. That might be the depth that you have. Really not much to talk about there, but that's okay. There's ample room there in front of that 120 mil fan coming in. I'm assuming it's going to be an LED fan as well too, being that it's a clear plastic. I'm going to guess that it's probably a blue LED fan. You know what, let me confirm that. Yep, that is correct. We do have a blue LED fan. Okay, so we've got some room for some cable management there in front of that fan, and, you know, ability to tie some stuff down. Shouldn't be too horrible, I don't think. And then up at the top here, we've got room for one 3.5 hard drive, as well as here we'll also have for the card reader or whatever would go here. So take a peek back in there. You could actually fit 2 drives in there if you wanted to as well. So but I'm only going to have one drive, so I'll just mount the one drive here and call it good. But yeah, so anyway, that's a good look at the little budget case that I picked out for this build, and now I will continue on. Okay, so we've got it fully assembled now and ready to install the OS, and I'll just go through again real quickly what we have here. We've got that Rosewill case, and then I went with the CX430M power supply. This isn't a very cable management oriented case, so I wanted to minimize my cables by using a modular one, so I picked up that. We've got the ASRock motherboard, the A10 5800K. We've got a Samsung 1TB hard drive mounted here in the bottom, and Corsair Vengeance 8GB of RAM. So that will line it out. I am not going with a optical drive here, as you can see, trying to keep this as budget oriented as possible. I mean, you can get one for $16, give or take, you know what I mean, but I'm going without it because most everything I do anymore, you know, is all off the internet, for example, or I'm going to install Windows 7 off of the USB 2.0 ports off a jump drive. So I mean, I really don't see myself using this optical drive, so I figured, hell, I saved $16 without it because I pissed a lot of money away on the A10 5800K processor there. So let me get back in there. Basically what I have sitting here right now, I've got $381.94 after all mail-in rebates and whatnot. A total of $416.94 before rebates. When I throw in Windows 7 Home Premium 64-bit, I add $80 to my cost there. And that Samsung, if I did like a Samsung DVD burner or whatnot, I'd be about another $16, like I said. But anyway, as it sits, I've got $381.94. I'm going to throw in the Windows, which is going to put me at about $461, $462 in there. So I will go ahead and do that, and then we'll get to benchmarking. So one thing I have done to the system, I could not absolutely, I mean, the heatsink that I put in there, I just couldn't handle it. It was just too loud. I mean, that was one of my first experiences with the stock AMD heatsink and fan, and I can see why people don't like them. It was just a bit loud, so I went and replaced it with this Rosewill CPU cooler there, and to, you know, continue with my testing. So that heatsink is quite a bit bigger, and it's got a 92mm fan. It's quite a bit quieter. Holy cow, that stock heatsink was pretty loud. So anyway, that is one change I made, and that added about $15 to the system cost itself. But I think it's worth $15. I'd rather have that than an optical drive for sure. Man, that heatsink was loud, especially when I started putting the computer under load and that thing hit 100%. Wow, did it make some noise. Okay, so anyway, on with the testing. Okay, so in 3D Mark is the benchmarking that I'm using. So this is Vantage, and we have a P5219 score, which is not awesome. Now keep in mind that I haven't overclocked yet. And then in 3D Mark 11 we get a P1395. So now let's tinker with some overclocking and see what happens. Okay, so I did an overclock, which basically was right around 30% overclock, and what I ended up with is a P score of 5711 on Vantage, which is almost 500 points better. And then moving on to the 3D Mark 11, I ended up with a P score of 1508, which is 113 points better. So we had some pretty good increases there on the overclocks. So anyway, that pretty much wraps up my budget AMD FM2 gaming rig. And yeah, so anyway, it seems to be a pretty decent system for the amount of money that I had invested, and can't really complain at all. It's kind of held its own, considering there is no dedicated graphics card. And yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching.